Mr. Bragdon. The floor is yours for 6 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Premier. And sorry that you had to experience the inner wranglings of partisanship here at the beginning and onset of our committee deliberations today. But moving quickly here, we understand very clearly Canadians are speaking very loudly from coast to coast, including from New Brunswick, that the cost of the carbon tax is prohibitive, and most Canadians are worse off as a result of it and its impact on their standard of living and their ability to make ends meet at the end of each month. The PBO has made that very clear. 7 out of 10 premiers, including yourself, has called for this hike to be spiked in the carbon tax, and they also want immediate relief and would prefer that this tax would be axed altogether. It's punitive, it's prohibitive, it's disproportionately affects those of us that live in small towns and rural communities, and there's a lot of those small towns and rural communities here in New Brunswick. It also inhibits development and growth of our industry, especially within our agricultural sectors and natural resource sectors, which of course has an impact here in New Brunswick. So there's a lot of impacts of the carbon tax overall, and I want to give you lots of ramp to talk about that. But also, we're hearing it very loudly.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Point of order, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to ask...
Sorry, Mr. Bragdon, I'll stop your time. Mr. Kuzmierczak?
I wanted to ask my honourable colleague, and I really do appreciate it. I really enjoy working with him, but can he just point to the relevance to any of the votes that we are studying in the main estimates, that we have been asked to study in the main estimates? So as a committee, we are asked to study parts of the main estimates. Can he point to the relevance?
The question should be to the
vote
chair, not to other members,
relevant.
Mr. Kuzmierczak. And you're aware, as you've been here for a long, long time, and you've participated in many filibusters, meandering filibusters, that we always allow a wide latitude. Continue, Mr. Bragdon.
This is beyond latitude, Mr. Chair. I mean, this has nothing to do with any of the votes.
Mr. Bragdon has the floor. Would you allow him again, please, for the sake and respect for our interpreters and those listening through the interpretation, one person with the floor at the time. Mr. Bragdon, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And just continuing, Premier, we also know the impact this has on seniors with fixed incomes, and their cost of living keeps going up, but yet their incomes are fixed. This is having a huge consequence across the country on everything from heating to obviously groceries to the cost of living and the price to fill up a car. And finally, I'll end with this point, and that is that, Mr. Premier, we have such amazing potential in New Brunswick and across Canada. And taxes and regulatory overreach that this current government federally is putting on our industry sectors and on our natural resources and agriculture is prohibitive to our development and growth as a province. So with that, over to you. Thank you for being here, Premier.
Thank you for the question. And I guess in relation to the costs, by 2030, we'll quadruple our costs and tax costs related to carbon tax, the clean fuel standard tax, and the relation to the HST that goes with that. So in the sense of, is it getting more expensive to live and work in our country? Absolutely. Are we spending way too much money across the country so if you wonder, how does this get to main estimates, or what's the point of it all? We're spending money we don't have as a nation, and we have the opportunity to offset that with real benefits in reducing the emissions and having an impact worldwide. So my point is continues to say, we don't need to put the burden of climate action and climate change on the citizens of our country, and on the citizens, in my case, of this province, because we have the ability to fund it and provide the funds for technology to help people deal with affordability, to help people deal with situations that they're finding too difficult to meet everyday needs. So my issue is clear. Let's look at options. We need to think bigger. Our situation in the Canada is that we're too isolated in our bubble. We're not reaching our potential to help the world. And we're causing huge impact, financial impact, right across this country on our citizens. And it's unnecessary. We all have the same objective. We just have to figure out an easier way to get there and a reality in a way to get there. Because currently, this path is not reality. It's not how we're going to manage the future and meet our goals. And that is the point of all of this discussion. For me, it's about look at the science, look at the development of SMRs, look at hydrogen. It's all well and good, but the timing is not going to meet the needs of what the current schedule provides. And as a result, people are just going to pay more and pay more. And what is going to be the impact on the environment? Is it going to be like 8% of our 1.5%? And we think we're solving the problems of the world by doing that, when we could be receiving, probably making an impact worldwide of 10% or 15%. But that could be a calculated number, very easily understood. So I want to continue to argue we just need to let the science let us help the world reduce emissions, not think we're solving it by our own little bubble calculation.
Mr. Premier, a quick question on that to follow up. Has the Prime Minister and his cabinet been reaching out to you regularly and other first ministers talking about the pain that this carbon tax is obviously having on Canadians and how it could be mitigated? Are you having regular communication from the Prime Minister and his cabinet on this?
Well, there's various discussions internally, I guess, with members locally, but the solutions are only, okay, how do we offset this measure? How do we offset that measure? When in fact you get to the root cause of why do we have this measure to begin with. So then you get down to the philosophy of the federal government in relation to the carbon tax. And you say, for what it is intended to achieve, is it achieving that? Because what was this unintended consequence, what it's going to cause on affordability of every issue from groceries to that right down the supply chain? Was that the intended consequence? And if it was, it's a poorly implemented process. And if you look at that and you say, what are other countries doing? How do they manage this? And then how can we manage it based on our abilities and utilizing our entire natural resources to be part of that solution?
That's great. Mr. Chair, do I have a little bit more time?
15 seconds.
All right. Well, Mr. Premier, speaking of the potential that we have as a province, by removing the carbon tax, if you can give a quick answer to that, what immediate impact would it have?
Well,
in a couple seconds, Premier Hicks.
Immediately 20 cents, roughly 17 cents on the per liter, which would have a huge impact. But then going the full distance, it could take off down the road about 50, 60 cents a liter.
Thank you.